all for being here. I'm Berta Gardner. I represent Midtown Anchorage in the State Senate, and I am the Senate Minority Leader. And with me is Representative Chris Tuck, also from Anchorage, and he is the House Minority Leader, Independent Democratic Caucus. Yes. And also Representative Les Guerra from Anchorage. He's from the downtown area. And on my left side is Senator Bill Wielechowski. And what we thought we would do is just kind of tell you folks, tell the people of Alaska, actually, our takeaways from this eagerly awaited speech by the governor, and then take some questions. So we want to start off by saying that, not surprisingly, a speech of this nature gives us something to celebrate, something to be very concerned about, and outline some areas where we have work to do. So we support the governor very strongly in his goals of more Alaskan jobs, of increased access to health care, making energy affordable, and it's clear we want to do some work on education. We applaud that he wants to stay focused on the long game. That's what we have to do, and one of the problems with the legislative process is we get bogged down, and we have to plan for tomorrow and not overreact today. So the legislature, it does have the power of appropriation. He's right about that, and we start our long discussion now. The state budget really is a way of translating our values and our vision into dollars. It's about putting your money where your mouth is. And while the governor uses different words, really we're talking about education, public safety, health, family, and jobs for Alaskans. So we believe that his proposal is going to be an alarm bell for education. I personally, one of my takeaways is I think in his focus on efficiencies, his effort to merge the Department of Labor, not merge, but have combining forces, the Department of Labor, Workforce Development, the university, and the Department of Education to look at secondary education makes a lot of sense, and I expect we'll get some good results there. And I'll invite Representative Tuck to sort of speak briefly with his takeaway.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, Democrats believe in Alaska and its great potential, and it's really refreshing to hear the governor say that in his speech. It's about time we received a thoughtful and reasoned approach from a governor. Our problems that we have today was created over the last several years. We've had plenty of warnings from Ledge Finance that he can't continue spending the way that spending's been happening. And I want to say also that thanks to Democrats and the majority of Alaskans, we do now have a chief executive that's willing to bite the bullet and make the hard decisions, and that was reflected in today's speech. It's hard to have the same excitement as last night because this is the reality. This is where we sit. This is where we're at. But we have the confidence, and that was conveyed by the governor, the confidence that we're making the right decisions, that we need to go forward and make sure that we continue protecting education. There's more work to do in that area. I think that we'll have to figure out a way to make sure that the cuts aren't off the backs of our future generations. We all love Alaska, and what makes this place so wonderful, really, it's the people. And we heard from last night and a little bit today how the governor wants to focus on the people, making sure that we have Alaska hire first. As Alaskans, we all have the same wants and desires. We want to make Alaska a place where ideas and innovation flourish. We have decent jobs. We have health care. We have our children get a great education. And then we can retire with dignity and continue contributing to our communities. So we're going to do everything we can to work with the governor to protect those values and going forward. Representative Guerra.
Thank you very much. As Representative Newman said, the Finance Committee's started its work. When you have a budget deficit like this, you have to make sure you find smart cuts with a scalpel, but not thoughtless cuts with the bludgeon. And that's going to be the work that we do over the next 88 days. If we cut with the scalpel, we'll be able to protect educational opportunity, safe neighborhoods, and put Alaskans first. We just have to guard against using a reckless bludgeon in a way that harms the economy, that puts people on the street. Right now, we have an outline of a budget, but we don't know what the specifics are going to be. The specifics, in our view, are going to be ones that protect educational opportunity, stem the loss of teachers and guidance counselors across the state, and give people a bright future. We're encouraged by the fact that the governor has seen that some projects and things are more important than others. Schools are important. Police and troopers are important. We have to put on the back burner some $15 to $17 billion worth of duplicative power projects that competed with the big gas pipeline. With the big gas pipeline, which we agree with the governor, we'll get low-cost energy for Alaskans, revenue for Alaskans. At that time, you don't need to spend $10 to $17 billion on a second gas line, as some have been pushing in this building. And you can put on the back burner the $6 billion Susitna Dam, which serves the same exact people as the gas line would serve. So that's smart, and we're with the governor on that. A big gas line is our first priority, both for low-cost energy, jobs, and really for revenue. And we assume that by keeping the capital budget the way the governor has proposed it in the past, that he's taking a serious look at the money-losing state rocket launch facility. That one has cost the state $60 million over the last 5 years in losses. It's launched 2 rockets in 5 years. So we're hoping the governor will consider looking at that, stemming the losses, and even possibly selling the facility if there's a private sector entity that can run it better than we can. Selling it will bring us revenue and maybe a better manager of a facility that's been losing money and jeopardizing our ability to fund education. You can't fund everything, and education has to come before a money-losing business like the rocket launch. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Guerra. Senator Wielkowski.
Thank you. A very sobering and serious speech. I think that was probably the quietest I've heard those chambers during the governor's address in all the time I've been here. And I think everyone understands that cuts are necessary. Everyone's ox got gored, it looks like, will get gored. I don't know the details. Just looking through some of the documents that we received, it looks like obviously there's a concern with education cuts. We all advocated last year for keeping pace with inflation, and we felt that the bill that was passed last year was going to lead to cuts this coming year and for the next few years, and so obviously that's a big priority for us. It's a big priority for Alaskans for creating opportunities, and so that's a place where we need to have more discussion, I think. Safer communities is a huge issue, and I was glad to see it just in a breakdown of agencies. It looked like public safety was one of the smaller agency cuts that was out there. Protecting working families, the middle class, is something that we all, that's important to all of us, and that's an area where some flags have been raised for me. Just looking through the agency cuts, it looks like Department of Labor and Workforce had one of the highest cuts of any agency. So don't know where those cuts are. We all understand that cuts have to be made, but when we're talking about job opportunities and educational opportunities for Alaskans, that's something that we want to make sure we protect. I do just want to say I am very, very glad the governor has continued to maintain the courage of his convictions on Medicaid expansion. That is something that is critical for this state. I would venture to say that when the details are out, that will actually end up saving the people of Alaska quite a bit of money, saving the state probably millions of dollars. And I'm glad that's in there. I'm glad he's championing that. I look forward to learning more of the details from the other cuts.
Thank you very much. And I'll just add about the Medicaid expansion. It feels to me, just from hearing comments that people are making, that the temperature of the room is warming toward Medicaid expansion. And I feel like the resistance is sliding toward accepting it. And that's very encouraging. That will be an important victory for Alaskans.
And if I may, I would also like to add that the United States as a whole, we saw an economic slump in 2008, 2009. I recently saw a presentation from a gentleman from New York. No, it was from Chase Manhattan, and what's the other big bank? Anyway, the two banks combined, John P. Morgan. And he was showing how America had recovered almost double of what where we started off at. And if you look at the stock market today and you look at the record unemployment, I think that we can look to what we have done as Americans over the last few years and what we need to do to get out of this. I think that that's the reason why we need to get ideas from everyone coming together, is because we'll make it through this. This is going to be good. This is good opportunities for us.
Are there any questions? Pat?
Pat Fargay, Alaska Dispatch News. It sounds like the governor's plan, or fiscal plan, is for oil prices to go up. Is that a good enough plan?
Plan A. No, that's not really the plan. Would you like to take that, Les? Yeah, go ahead.
The governor's being realistic. For anybody who thinks that you can very easily, with a speech, cut $3.5 billion out of a $6 billion budget, you have to recognize the reality that you could fire every state employee that we have and only save $1.5 billion of general fund revenue. And you'd still have a $2 billion deficit and empty offices. So the governor has a hard job, and the rest of us have a hard job. And I'm glad the governor, I think, has left a lot of room open for us to decide how to implement those cuts. Again, with the scalpel to protect people, protect schools, protect public safety, or with the bludgeon in a way where you end up with people on the streets. And I don't think the governor wants the latter. But I think his speech, in large part, was thoughtful.
Anyone else?
And let me say this, is that we cannot do drastic cuts to sink our economy. So I believe, we're going to have a plan. We'll hopefully come out of this legislation with a plan that's a 3-4 year plan. And a bonus to that would be the price of oil going up. But you can't take too much of a drastic cuts, otherwise you'll tank the economy. And I think he's working to protect that. So if we don't have to, let's not do it.
Any more questions? In that case, thank you very much.